Welcome to this week's episode on the $100 GPW. We felt it was about time we tried to sort this pinion yoke out. So Lexi's going to get this one off and see how bad the damage actually is. You never know, we may even be able to repair it. If we can, that's going to be kind of neat. She has the unenviable job of getting this thing off, and it is not a fun job down there in the sand. It would be a lot easier if we had it inside on a two-post lift, but we need to get this thing off to see what we can do with it. Once we've got it in the shop, we'll properly examine it and see what's what.
I've been having a really close look at this original yoke, and I think it's totally savable. When I measure the hole centers, they're fine. Everything comes up parallel. I think it's straight. I don't think it's been bent at all. I think what's happened is that hole at the bottom right is deformed, and it doesn't allow the U-clamp to go through. So this could be a really easy fix. Quickest way of doing that, you just run a drill bit through it and it'll come out to a round hole again and we'll be up and running. I don't particularly want to do that though, because drilling is a destructive process that's cutting away material. What I want to do is make a form that pushes through and pushes that material back in place. It'll take it back to being the original thing and not losing any material. It'll retain whatever balance it had. Not high precision on this, but still, it's the principle that counts. But more importantly, I'm not going to lose material or cutting anything away from it. So I'm going to measure up these holes and make a form that is just smaller than that hole to push through. Looking through my bar stock, the brass is going to be too soft. I mean, it probably worked for one use. And looking through the steel stock, I've got stuff that would do it, but I'm not sure I want to waste any of that right now for something that's just going to be a single-use tool. I think the easiest and quickest way is just going to be using a bolt. One of these 3/8 bolts is on this shank here, is not far over 9mm. That hole measures out around 8.25 millimeters. So I think I'm just going to take one of these bolts, cut the end off, put it in the lathe, take it down to size, and I think this will work perfectly. I cut the head of the bolt off with the death wheel, and I just want to face this side up and get it flat.
so that we can then center drill this end. Alright, that's given us a nice flat edge to work from. So I'm going to come in with a centre drill now and give ourselves a centre so that we can actually support the workpiece as we cut. This is what a centre drill looks like, and this will just make sure we're dead centre in that stock. That now has the same profile that we're going to use on our live centre. I need to know what depth I'm going to make my form, so this part of it now is 22mm-ish. I want a little bit sticking out because I'm going to put a chamfer on the end of it to make it easier to go through. So I'm going to give myself about 30mm. So if I measure back from the chuck, it'll come out a little bit. Set that to 30, coming from the back. That's going to be fine. And actually, there's a nice little scratch on my workpiece there that tells me where I'm going to, so I'm okay with that. We will go on there. Now, I have my line, and what I'm going to do to cheat a little bit is come in to where my line was that I just made. And none of this is high precision, and then I'm just going to zero my Z-axis on my D-axis. I'm going to zero my Z-axis on the DRO. So I know what I'm cutting down to. Now, if I just cut in on this and try and take this down to the size that I want, it's going to deflect, it's going to move. So we have to bring in a live center, and that's what I was drilling for. There's two types of center, a dead center and a live center. And a live center has just got a bearing in it, so it will spin like that easily. A dead center is just one piece of metal, and it will spin against the workpiece. So hopefully we can get in. Oh, this is going to be tight. As you can see, where my cutter is, I'm actually quite close to that live center. So I'm not going to be cutting right to the end. I'm going to come in here now, took that a little bit further than we were, and then just part that off at the end, and it'll work fine. Okay, we now have the piece made that we can use to just push that through. It's rough, but it's all we need for this job. So now I have it made, I just have it sat over there so that I can just tap that through. And I'll have to pull it back out, but that now has formed our hole back to the size it should be. Send it through again. Okay, moment of truth. Is it going to work? So I've got my U-bolts. That goes in. That goes in. Fits perfectly. I didn't have to drill anything. I haven't removed any metal from this, so I know it's now back where it needs to be. I want to just protect this a little bit from the rust. I don't have the right colour of powder coat yet for this Jeep. I've got some swatches coming, and I'm going to check something that's close enough. I'm sure there's not one that's exact, but I want one that is at least close to the right olive drab for that Jeep. For right now, I'm going to powder coat this the same shiny gloss black that we do all the engine components, because it's what's set up in my powder coating booth. So we're going to get this blasted, masked, then I'll powder coat it just to protect it. I may change the colour later on down the line, but for right now I just prefer it not to deteriorate anymore. And then we can get it back on the Jeep. Now we get to do the bit I quite like. We're going to powder coat this up. The powder coat is really easy. It's really hard to mess this up. All you need to do is make sure you use good quality powder, prep the surface, which Lexi's already done, mask off any areas that you don't want powder onto, and then just bake it for 400 degrees for 12 minutes. Aha. And this is really important. This is the most important step. You do have to turn it on. So you can mess it up. I just touched that with my finger, so I have to do that bit again. So we're going to turn this on and bake them. Let's see how this has come out. Ooh. So what we have is shiny powder coat.
No blood, I'm fine. Okay. I'm gonna try to put this on and away with it. The quarter thing can still go in.
Well, there we have it, all back together again. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to everybody that subscribed. It really makes a huge difference. See you next week.